Now, it was only made illegal 3 years ago. It costs half as much as cocaine and is fast becoming the new party drug.
Yes, Mephedrone is supposed to have an effect similar to cocaine, amphetamine and ecstasy, but the long-term effects are largely unknown.
In our regular update from Fixers, the campaign that gives the young in the region a voice, a teenage former addict from Essex warns of the dangers.
I'm Millie, I'm 17 and I live in Essex. When I was 14, I started taking Mephedrone. Some people call it Meow, some people call it Mcat, Ccat. I got into a bad relationship and I got influenced, and then from that day on I just couldn't stop. At first it felt amazing, I loved it. I loved every single minute on it. And then 6 months down the line, it just hit me. I couldn't carry on, but I couldn't stop.
Since Mephedrone became illegal back in 2010, we found that amongst certain groups of young people it's quite popular and there's been a dramatic increase.
I was doing over £60 a day. I become self-centred, paranoid, and I ended up cheese grating my arm. I got admitted into a hospital, into a mental ward. I was in a 9-month relationship with a violent person just so I could keep doing meth. I ended up not going to school. Days when I didn't have it, I'd lay in my bed, I'd cry.
It made me feel good to start with, but then it just took control and I'd do anything to get it.
My Fixers project is to make people know what Mephedrone does to you. What was the cycle like?
Horrible. I'd wake up in the morning, do whatever I could to get some money, rob things, sell things.
How did your body react to it?
After like a month taking it, I looked like a skeleton. I had spots everywhere, nosebleeds all the time.
How about you?
Before I started taking it, I was like 18 stone 6. Got down to 14 stone in about 2.5 months. My nose is the main thing. The chemical in it is just burnt a hole in my nose. I was on it for like 6 days straight, and well, I had a minor heart attack. Same night I got out of hospital, went straight back out and got back on it.
I know people that have been 12 and taken it. I know people at the age of 50 that take it. It's a cheap drug at the end of the day.
Everything becomes about the drug. They can't think about anything else. Their school, their friends, their family, they steal to pay for the drug.
It's now the 4th most common drug in 16 to 24-year-olds. This was a drug nobody heard about 5 years ago. And that's one of the dangers with all of these new drugs, is that we don't quite know what the short or even the long-term harms might be.
What it can do to your body, what it can do to your brain, how it affects me still every day, even though I've been off it for 9 months. I hope that if people know what happened to me while I was taking Mephedrone, that they'll never do it themselves.
Well, it's a truly shocking story, and you can find out more about it and Fixers in general at fixers.org.uk.
Well, to talk more about this problem, we're joined now by Chip Summers from Focus 12, a charity based in Bury St Edmunds that helps those with an addiction to drink or drugs. Chip, thanks very much for coming in. Watching that report, it is shocking to see just how addictive the drug is, and yet still so little is known about it.
That's right. I mean, there are so many drugs around now about which we know very little. I mean, we're only just beginning now to catch up with the effects of ketamine, and we're now, as you see from the film, finding out a little bit about Mephedrone, but things are moving so quickly, we don't find out the harm before people are using them.
So on that note, is it, very much like fighting a losing battle? I mean, today we're talking about one drug, tomorrow it's going to be another one.
It feels much more urgent than it used to be. In the old days, you had heroin and you had cocaine and that was just about it, really, and you were able to find out a lot about it. Things are moving now so quickly that you're playing catch-up all the time. Legislation takes a long time. It takes a long time to investigate the medical impact of things. And we are, as you say, playing catch-up practically all the time. Now,
you've been involved in the fight against drugs for years and years now, and you've also had helped some high-profile people like Russell Brand as well, who we've seen you with in the House of Commons too. How much does it help, in some respects, getting people like that to come out and say what the problem is?
I think it's made a massive difference. Obviously, it's made a difference to us. But I think when people come out and say, I used to have a problem and now I'm better, it gives people first of all, encouragement, and it also lets them know that you can get better. Because if you're just mixing with people who are using, you don't really feel that people can get better. So when somebody high profile comes out and says, I got better, a lot of people get better, and a lot of people make referrals to us then.
Do you actually get enough help, do you think, from the people involved in the business as well, the clubs, the all-important clubs that are involved in this? What do they do?
Not much. I mean, they didn't do much with ecstasy, they didn't do much with other cocaine, they didn't do much with, they're not doing much with these other drugs. I don't think they're really addressing, they didn't do much with alcopops, so I don't think they're really taking that side of things seriously, and I'm not sure that's not what they're in business for.
And in terms of advice, what would be your advice, say, to a child, a teenager watching this who feels under pressure to take drugs, and of course to parents who, watching this, may think the whole thing is just horrifying?
Find out what you're putting inside your body before you take it, and that's definitely, because people are putting stuff in their bodies they don't even know what it is. But for parents, find out the facts and find out and talk to your children as early as possible. Make it a conversation that's natural. Don't make it a secret thing that you can never talk about. Try and find out the facts and talk to your children as young as possible.
OK, well, Chip, thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about that.
Thank you very much indeed.